Which brings us back to the Commonwealth of you are Commonwealth, right?
We are.
Of Massachusetts. And, I really developed a good relationship with this state when I was 30 years old. And my first client, before the same year Bill Clinton hired me, was Ed King. And he hired me when he was only about 62 points behind Dukakis. and that race was a pleasure. And then right after that, I worked for Proposition 2.5, the tax limitation. Now, when we polled on Prop 2.5, we figured out that what we were trying to do was to convince people to focus on the tax cuts, not the spending cuts, even though they would go hand in hand. So we called it the joy of sex versus the fear of pregnancy. They were connected. It's a question of which one you're looking at when. So we put a woman's voice on the air while the word taxes got bigger and bigger, and then smaller and smaller, and this was a 10-second commercial. And the woman said, "Oh, no, oh, no, oh, yeah, oh, that's better." And we really helped save Massachusetts from being taxed to death. And then I worked for Bill Weld in 1990 and 1994, which, with the exception of one member of his cabinet, was a great administration. But, when Weld was governor of this state in 1992, Massachusetts had 84,000 state workers. Now it has 98,000 state workers. Same state, same services, same everything. So Christy talks about just simply putting us back to where we were in 1992. And that one step would save $1 billion, which he's going to recycle into cuts in the sales tax. Bring it all the way back to 3% to stimulate job creation in this state. Because seriously, Massachusetts faces a fundamental choice. There are about 7 or 8 states in the country that face this choice. Either they're going to go the way of Michigan and upstate New York, an endless downward slump where the population leaves, the people that stay need more and more services, the jobs leave because the young people have left, and you just end up with higher and higher unemployment, higher and higher taxes, larger and larger deficits, fewer and fewer people, fewer and fewer income-earning people, and you just get a death spiral. It's like watching a state become a black hole, a star that's imploding, that just becomes a black hole. Michigan has basically gone that way. Pennsylvania didn't, because Pittsburgh realized steel was not coming back. But Michigan bet on cars, and they still are. They just never learn. Upstate New York is such a black hole. Half the population is left and moved to Tampa. That's why my close friend Hillary was able to win that Senate seat. And now the question is, will Massachusetts go that way or not? And you've had several years of good Republican governors, and then you've had several years of rotten Republican governors. And the rotten Republican governors, Romney and Swift, have saddled this state with spending burdens that now the rotten Democratic governor is using to raise taxes and basically force this state down the black hole that Bill Weld and Ed King worked like crazy to avoid it going through. And if you go with Christy at this point, you really have a chance to save this state. And my God, we're talking right here in the middle of an area that absolutely was facing death and destruction until the taxes went back down, and is facing future death and destruction if the taxes go up. It's not clear what kind of governor Deval Patrick is from Massachusetts, but he's the best damn governor New Hampshire ever had. Who else could create jobs in New Hampshire, boost retail sales in New Hampshire, drive up property values in New Hampshire, and make people move to New Hampshire like Deval Patrick has? And we're standing here so close to New Hampshire that obviously we see the impact of that. And it is so important that Massachusetts make the right decision coming up in 2010. Now, the wind is totally at your back here. The country is really in the mood to follow the path that you've laid down. But you have to make sure you choose the right Republican. There are those esoteric people who feel increasing premiums by 11% a year is okay, like Baker did, but increasing taxes by 11% a year is not good. There are those esoteric people who feel it's fine to quadruple the tolls, but don't increase the taxes. But pardon me if these distinctions are lost on the voters of Massachusetts. When Baker runs, if he ever clears the primary and goes against Duval Patrick, he's going to say, I increased taxes less than you increased premiums. I've increased the sales tax less than you raised the tolls. I'm not the one that took all of the state's highway and bridge money and mortgaged it in perpetuity in order to pay for this big dig. It wasn't me. And what's he going to say? And in a sense, we're really facing a governor who, as governor, would be the gubernatorial equivalent of those sterling leaders of the Republican Party, Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins of the state of Maine. And you don't want to go that way. If you're going to elect a Republican, elect a Republican. And that's why I'm for Christy Mihos.
Thank you.